Hi. I'm going to talk about how to cut down on your electricity bill from this moment on. Power Efficiency Guide will change our world forever. Hi, my name is Mark Edwards. And today, in this short video, I'll tell you a life-changing story about how I figured out how to easily generate insane amounts of energy for the past 2 years. I'm talking about a simple device that can be used by any family around the world and can even change the course of the entire energy industry. Over the past year, over 17,000 people have also already successfully used the very same technique to get over tragic milestones such as hurricanes, snowstorms or floods. Based on technology we use on a daily basis, not only can it generate enough power to last through long harsh winters when temperatures outside go below zero, but it can ameliorate your power bill all year long. I'm sure you're already intrigued and you want to know all about how this system works. Honestly, it's like nothing you've ever seen, and in a few minutes from now you'll be outraged you ever paid a single cent to Big Electric. So you absolutely need to watch this short presentation today, while it's still up. I don't know how much longer I'll have this free presentation online, so watch this right now, while you still can. Before we continue, let me tell you who I am, and how it all started. As I mentioned before, my name is Mark Edwards. I'm a 56-year-old geography teacher in Memphis, Tennessee. Folks who live here know that high energy bills are somewhat of an issue, and we have been fighting them for years. And we've never liked paying through our noses for simple things that everybody should afford. Like using the electric appliances without restriction. However, we simply settled thinking that's the economy, or maybe it'll be better next year, month after month struggling not to fall behind on bills. All that until the winter of 2015. December 29th. Tuesday. The absolute worst day of my life. The news warned the population about the rising of the freezing waters of Mississippi, but we never had problems. We were miles from the river and we were safe. But this time it was different. Around 7 p.m. news warned everybody in the area the river had risen like never before. After a few minutes all lights went off. I immediately thought it was a simple blackout. I went to check on my wife and 2 daughters. They were fine. For the moment. The Mississippi River had broken out of its bed and flooded the surroundings. It ripped down hundreds of power lines around our area, and we suddenly found ourselves without power. My wife and I discussed about driving to my parents in Lexington, Kentucky, but we were looking at a 6-hour drive in the night. We decided to wait for the power to come back. Big mistake. The house was getting cold, and it was getting cold fast. Night came and still no power. I tried calling the electric company on my cell phone to find out when power would be restored. But all I got was a pre-recorded message saying that they were aware of the problem, and that it would be between 48 and 72 hours before the power would be back online. Quickly the temperature in our house reached around 50 degrees. Around midnight I went to check on my family, and what I saw made me freeze in my tracks. My wife and daughters were lying on the bed, embracing each other, shivering in cold, muffled in thick blankets. You can't imagine how I felt not being able to protect my family. I rushed and wrapped my arms around them as I could in a futile attempt to give them what little body heat I had. And then my 5-year-old Lisa said in a shivering voice, "Daddy, I'm cold and I'm hungry. I wish we had a warm soup." I immediately burst in tears. It was the most devastating moment of my life. I felt like my world collapsed. I felt powerless because there was nothing I could do to protect the ones I cared for most. And I simply felt furious. Outraged about the fact that I knew I was the only one to blame for getting in this situation. And worse, for getting my family in this dangerous situation. I was furious that I was completely dependent on the electric company to power my home. And furious about the fact that for so many years I let it slide and thought maybe it'll be better next year while those money-sucking electricity mobsters bled me and my family dry. It was the moment I realized I was at the end of my rope. I swore to myself I'd never put my wife and 2 daughters in a similar situation again. We left for my parents the very next day and came back after some time. I immediately began researching every single energy alternative I could find. I made it my sole purpose because leaving my family's well-being in the hands of electric companies clearly wasn't an option anymore. Not only did their power lines always seem to go down in unexpected moments, but their prices had been smothering me for more than a decade. I imagined the CEOs going to the bank and cashing out my hard-earned money, maybe even laughing while doing it. So I immediately began to look at the problem from every angle to break the chains Big Electric had around my family. There had to be something. Frustrated, I created a list of what I felt my new source of energy should be. Cheap and easy to obtain. Easy to move. If I needed to bug out of town, it needed to be something I can easily carry with me. Can use a constant source of power to create energy. If there was no sun, no gas or wind, it should still work fine without interruption. So I considered buying a heavy-duty generator. It's certainly a reliable source of power, so I looked pretty much into this option. However, when I started to consider the costs, I realized I was looking at a minimum $1,000 investment to get a really high-quality generator. Not to mention the fuel usage. And with the fluctuating gas prices. Try powering your home full-time with a generator. Plus, it's not like I wanted to have a 90 gallons bomb around my family and house, so this option was off the list. Next, I considered using solar energy. I've heard the solar industry boomed over the last years and solar panels really can be effective. But, maybe you've heard, here in Memphis, Tennessee it can be overcast for a month straight during the winter and being dependent on solar panels becomes inadmissible, not to mention that installing professional panels would have cost me an easy $11,000. And I certainly didn't have the money to invest. The idea to buy a DIY solar kit crossed my mind. But when I saw the costs, I changed my mind. Plus, I did some research on the subject and I found out that such kits rarely produce even 20% of the energy advertised. So I had only one option. If I wanted to make sure my family never goes through such an experience again, I had to create my own solution. It had to be something cheap and fast and easy to build because I definitely didn't have any technical skills to build complicated devices. Being a teacher doesn't really offer those kinds of skills, so I started looking into every other solution that could bring me the security for my family. Many sleepless nights passed and I was getting tired of surfing the internet for a simple solution. Yet one day, Kate, my wife, reminded me about my late Uncle Jack and his research in the energy field. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2004. He worked for an electric car company as a pioneer in this field. His life goal was to save the planet and offer our children a better life. As a professional researcher in this domain, he had the resources he needed to do it, and, setting his goal to help humankind, as he said, he dedicated his life to discovering new technology. And he did a thorough research. I remembered him telling me how electric eels can be used to produce huge amounts of energy. And maybe that sounds a bit strange, but there are some fish farms that are completely energy independent. However, that wasn't the solution for electric cars, and clearly, it wasn't for me either. The investment was too big and I certainly wasn't going to take care of who knows how many eels all year round. Thanks for watching. Please see my link in description for more information.